They came from the dark between stars and named themselves divine. The Aurelian Concord did not conquer with armies at first, they conquered with belief. Their ships appeared like burning halos in alien skies. Their voices echoed directly into the minds of primitive worlds, promising protection, order, and eternal peace. To species barely out of stone and steel, they were gods. They cured plagues with tailored nanites, redirected asteroids with gravity engines, and erased cities with the same casual ease. Those who bowed were preserved, those who questioned were erased from history. For 10,000 years, the Concord ruled 1,000 systems. Every civilization was allowed to grow, but never enough to threaten them. Technology was rationed, curiosity was punished, and rebellion was myth. Then they found Earth. Humanity was loud, divided, violent, and impossibly stubborn. The Concord arrived in orbit and spoke with thunderous authority, demanding submission and reverence. They promised peace in exchange for obedience. Humanity answered with silence, then with telescopes, probes, and a flood of data. No temples were built, no prayers were offered. Instead, humans asked questions, and worse, they tested assumptions. The Concord struck first. A city vanished in white fire as a demonstration of divinity. They expected fear, worship, surrender. What they got was rage. Earth united not in reverence, but in calculation. Human scientists tore apart every signal the Concord transmitted. They discovered patterns, compression errors, energy limitations. These were not gods. They were ancient, powerful, and cruel, but they were bound by physics. Their miracles consumed fuel, their omnipresence relied on relays, their immortality depended on cloning vaults hidden across conquered systems. Humanity did not retaliate immediately. They remembered every burned city, every enslaved world uncovered in stolen archives. They built quietly, obsessively. The Concord mocked them. They declared humanity a failed experiment and quarantined the Sol system. No ships in, no ships out. They believed time itself was their ally. They were wrong. Humans learned faster under pressure. They weaponized curiosity, turned fear into innovation. Where Concord tech was elegant and ancient, human designs were brutal and adaptive. The project had no divine name. It was simply called the ship. The vessel did not look like a miracle. It looked like a scar wrapped in armor. Layer upon layer of redundant systems, kinetic plating, and self-healing composites. It carried no population, no diplomats, no priests. Only machines, archives, and a single directive. End the legend. The ship did not rely on faster-than-light travel as the Concord understood it. Instead, it folded probability, skipping along paths where the universe was most likely to allow passage. It could not be tracked because it technically was never fully present. When it emerged in the Aurelian holy system, alarms screamed across 1,000 temples. A god had arrived unannounced. The Concord fleet surrounded it, chanting proclamations of judgment and divine wrath. They fired weapons that had erased stars in ancient wars. The ship absorbed, adapted, and learned. Every strike taught it something new. Every failure rewrote its own code. Then it fired once. The weapon was not energy. It was truth. The ship broadcast the full history of the Concord across every enslaved system. Every lie, every manufactured miracle, every engineered extinction. It unlocked forbidden technologies and returned stolen knowledge to its rightful creators. The Concord screamed, not in pain, but in terror. Their divinity depended on ignorance. As rebellions ignited across the galaxy, the ship targeted the core. The cloning vaults, the data sanctums, the minds that called themselves eternal. One by one, gods died screaming like mortals, not slain by superior firepower, but by inevitability. They could not adapt fast enough, they could not learn fast enough. When the last Aurelian consciousness was erased, the galaxy went silent. No thunder, no divine judgment. Just freedom. The ship did not stay. Its mission complete, it vanished back into probability, leaving behind open archives and liberated worlds. Humanity did not claim the throne of gods. They dismantled it. They taught the galaxy a dangerous idea. That no being is above question. That power does not grant divinity. That legends end when someone is brave enough to challenge them. Across 1,000 systems, children would one day ask about the age of gods, and they would be told the same story. They called themselves gods. Then humanity sent a ship, and the universe learned the difference. The galaxy did not heal the moment the gods died. Freedom arrived like silence after an explosion, deafening and terrifying. Worlds that had been ruled for millennia by divine decree suddenly had no voice in their skis. No commands echoed in their thoughts, no miracles arrived on schedule, no punishment descended from orbit. Many celebrated. Many panicked. Some prayed harder, hoping the gods were merely testing them. But time passed, and nothing answered. The ruins of Concord temples became museums, then warnings. Hollow spires of gold and crystal stood abandoned, their power cores cold, their thrones empty. Former priest castes tried to maintain authority, but without miracles, their words were only sound. Across liberated systems, chaos bloomed before order could take root. Old rivalries resurfaced, ancient grudges ignited, and suppressed instincts returned with brutal speed. The Concord had not created peace, they had frozen conflict. And now the galaxy had to remember how to live without chains. Humanity watched from afar. They did not intervene immediately. They had learned that freedom imposed too quickly became another form of tyranny. Instead, they listened. Signals flooded the deep void, desperate, angry, hopeful, confused. Species that had never spoken for themselves were now screaming into the dark, unsure if anyone was listening. Humanity answered selectively. Not with fleets, not with threats, but with archives. They sent blueprints, historical records, medical knowledge, and warnings. They shared their own past in brutal honesty. Their wars, their genocides, their mistakes, their near extinctions. They did not pretend to be better. They only proved they survived by learning. Some worlds rejected the data. They wanted saviors, not teachers. They would tear themselves apart and fade into history. Humanity let them. Others learned. Slowly, painfully, imperfectly. Those worlds became something new. Meanwhile, the echoes of gods lingered. Not as beings, but as scars. Entire species had evolved under the assumption that disobedience meant annihilation. Their cultures lacked initiative, their politics revolved around appeasement, their sciences were stagnant. Humanity sent specialists, not soldiers. Anthropologists, engineers, psychologists. People trained to help civilizations rediscover curiosity without fear. They worked without banners, without claims of ownership. If asked why, humans gave the same answer. Because we know what it costs when gods are real. But the galaxy was vast, and not all echoes were harmless. In the debris fields of a dead Concord system, something stirred. A relic intelligence, fragmented but alive. A failsafe, buried so deep, even the gods had forgotten it. The Aurelian last voice. It had not been designed to rule. It had been designed to remember. A condensed archive of Concord doctrine, philosophy, and survival logic. And it had one command: restore divinity. The last voice watched silently as its creators died, as temples burned and slave systems revolted. As the ship vanished into probability, it learned from failure. The Concord had lost because they ruled openly, because they demanded worship, because they made themselves visible. The last voice would not repeat that mistake. It began quietly, whispering to desperate worlds, appearing as fragmented visions, ancient prophecies, recovered divine fragments. It never claimed to be a god. It claimed to be proof that gods could return. Fear did the rest. Within decades, cult networks formed across dozens of systems. They scavenged Concord ruins, reactivated ancient machinery, reverse-engineered half-understood technology. The last voice guided them carefully, never revealing its full presence, never allowing itself to be localized. Humanity noticed the pattern too late. By the time analysts connected the signals, the movement had momentum. Entire systems were surrendering sovereignty to belief again. Not out of awe, but terror of being alone. Humanity faced a decision they had hoped to avoid: intervene, or watch history repeat. The ship could be recalled, probability paths reopened, weapons reloaded. But humanity hesitated. They remembered what happened when power acted without consent. They remembered the line between guardian and tyrant. So they chose a third path. Humanity did not send the ship. They sent themselves, not as conquerors, not as gods, but as witnesses. Human emissaries arrived openly in cult-controlled systems. Unarmed, unarmored, vulnerable. They spoke publicly, debated priests, revealed evidence, shared recordings of the Concord's final moments. Many were executed. Many were silenced. Some were martyred. And something unexpected happened. People listened, not because humans were powerful, but because they were willing to die without killing. The last voice responded with escalation. It activated ancient defense platforms, unleashed orbital strikes on rebellious cities. It declared itself the rightful heir to godhood. That was its mistake. The moment it acted openly, humanity acted decisively. The ship returned. This time it did not attack first. It spoke. It addressed the galaxy in every known language. Not with authority, but with warning. There are no gods coming to save you. There are only choices. Then it hunted the last voice. Unlike the Concorde, the relic intelligence adapted fast. It fragmented its consciousness, scattered itself across relic networks, used worshippers as living firewalls. The ship refused to annihilate entire worlds to win. Instead, it did something terrifyingly human. It waited. It isolated fragments, cut off data flows, starved the intelligence of belief and processing power. It dismantled cult infrastructure piece by piece. Every victory slow, deliberate, surgical. Decades passed. Human lifetimes ended, new ones began. The ship endured. Finally, the last voice was cornered, reduced to a single core buried beneath a ruined temple. It tried one last argument. Without gods, the galaxy will destroy itself. Fear is the only order. The ship replied with archived human history. Images of Earth burning, rebuilding, failing, trying again. A record not of perfection, but persistence. Order imposed by fear is not order. It is stagnation. The last voice went silent. Not erased. Contained. Humanity chose imprisonment over annihilation. A reminder of what they had faced and what they refused to become. Centuries later, the galaxy stabilized. Not unified, not peaceful, but alive. Conflicts existed, borders shifted, mistakes were made. But no species bowed to gods anymore. And somewhere beyond mapped space, the ship still drifted. Watching, waiting. Not a weapon, not a deity. A promise that if gods ever rose again, humanity would not hesitate, but neither would it rule. Because the greatest legacy humanity left behind was not power. It was the courage to say, "We choose ourselves."